Yesterday in the business section of the New York Times, there was an article about artificial intelligence, about a new chatbot named DebunkBot. In most major newspapers across the country, each and every day, there's at least one article about AI. Those articles range from doomsday predictions to economic policies to new developments. But most of them tend to have a relatively negative slant about all of the dangers of AI, and rightfully so. Artificial intelligence is very dangerous. And regulation, of course, is not keeping up with development. But this article yesterday in the business section of the New York Times was actually hopeful. You see, most polls show that almost half of American people believe in some conspiracy theories or misinformation about some topic. Much of that misinformation and those conspiracy theories are perpetuated by internet algorithms and chat rooms where people might hear information, misinformation about everything from vaccines to 9/11, from Holocaust to school shootings or the JFK assassination. These things might lead people to think things like the world is flat, or aliens built the pyramids, or that Haitian immigrants are eating people's pets. Artificial intelligence is part of the problem, of course, because it can be designed as a weapon against reality. As a response to that danger, researchers have put together this thing called DebunkBot, and this week they released the results of their research papers. They recruited around 2,000 people from across the country who held a variety of debunked opinions on a variety of topics. They asked those people how strongly they felt about those opinions that they held, and then they had individuals engage in conversation with this chatbot, and then after the conversation, they asked those people the same questions again. How strongly do you hold these debunked beliefs? And it had gone down. The chatbot is designed to simply give them factual and real information in a personalized way. There is a reason why when Jesus described himself in the Gospel of John, he said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." Jesus stood and still stands as the truth in a world of lies. In our text from today, we find Jesus talking to his disciples, and he's asking them about information that is out in the world about him. He says, "Who do people say that I am?" And the response of the disciples confirms that there are all sorts of theories out there about who this guy named Jesus really is. Some people say that he is John the Baptist. Others say that he is Elijah or one of the other prophets. And then Jesus looks at his disciples and he says, "But who do you say that I am?" Which is when Peter speaks the truth and says, "You are the Messiah." Peter, of all people in the Gospels, got it right for about 30 seconds. Because then Jesus tells them the truth, that in order for him to accomplish all that he wanted to do in this world, all that Jesus was sent here to do, that he must suffer and die and rise again from the dead, which is when Peter, who had just affirmed his belief that Jesus is the Messiah, decided that it was a good idea to pull that Messiah aside and rebuke him. Because you see, the truth that Jesus had spoken did not fit with Peter's expectations of the Messiah. "Get behind me, Satan, for you are setting your mind not on divine things, but rather on human things." In other words, Peter was more focused on what he wanted the truth to be about Jesus than he was in hearing the literal truth that was speaking to him in that moment. And in this text, Jesus wasn't done speaking his inconvenient truth, because then he calls the other disciples back together again, and he turns every single truth that they think they know about the world and about faith upside down. If any of you want to come after me, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake and for the sake of the gospel will save it. For what will it profit them to gain the whole world, but to forfeit their life? Up is down. The first shall be last, the last shall be first. God's blessing has nothing to do with wealth or health or success, but rather with radical hospitality, with mercy, and with equity. This Messiah that has come, despite all expectations, is going to ride into town on a donkey for the purpose of being crucified, rather than riding in on a white horse with a sword drawn. Jesus spoke the truth whether Peter liked it or not. Jesus spoke the truth whether the Pharisees liked it or not. Jesus spoke the truth whether the Roman Empire liked it or not. And Jesus calls us to pick up our cross and follow along the way. You see, the burden of the cross is that it exposes us to the world as followers of a radical truth teller. And therefore, it exposes us to the world as truth tellers ourselves. Or not. It exposes us either way. It exposes our hypocrisy or our faith. It exposes our cowardice or our courage. For as verse 38 says from this morning, those who are ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of them the Son of Man will also be ashamed when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels. Jesus is the truth, and the truth matters. This week we have heard lots of bizarre lies about things happening in the world, but there was one moment that I found so unbelievably offensive that I want to end with it this morning. On September 11th, 2001, I wasn't living in New York, and yet, of course, I was deeply affected, as everyone was. We were all changed that day. But I can't even begin to imagine how much it changed those of you who were actually here. Those of you who were in the city that day. Those of you who lost friends and family and neighbors. This week, as we celebrated the 23rd anniversary of that tragic day in our country, families were forced once again to contend with the evil of conspiracy theories because of some in attendance. To bring someone who spreads conspiracy theories about 9/11 to the 9/11 memorial on the anniversary of 9/11, I don't even know what to say about that. It would be like spreading a racist conspiracy theory about Haitian immigrants, some of the most vulnerable people in our culture. A lie that has led to bomb threats and bullying and harassment. A lie that has led this morning to Wittenberg College having to be on lockdown because of threats being made against Haitian immigrants on that campus. It should make us all want to scream aloud, "Get behind me, Satan." Truth matters. In fact, one might say that our entire faith is predicated upon fidelity to the truth. As Christians, we obviously do not have the luxury of lying, but we also do not have the luxury of abiding others' lies. Jesus spoke the truth even when he knew what the consequences might be, and then he told us to pick up our cross and to follow along the way. I'm really glad that the AI world has created DebunkBot. The internet needs it, and I pray for its success. But the responsibility to push back on a world of lies rests not with some algorithm created on a computer, but rather with those of us who follow the way, the truth, and the life. May God grant the church the courage to speak that truth. May God grant each of us the courage to look in the mirror and confront our own truth and confront the lies that we tell ourselves. And may God grant us the grace to walk with Jesus, who is the truth, all the days of our lives. Let it be so. Amen.